Hi, my name is Micah Roraff, and this is Life of Worship. Over the past few weeks, I've been going over who God is, and not just for head knowledge sake, but for relationship's sake, so that we can trust Him more and more and more and more and more every day, because we know who He is, and who He is never changes. God says that about Himself in the Word. He says that He never changes, and so we know that when we know Him as something, like we've learned about Him as Elohim, which is like Creator, Almighty God, that He was then and is now and forever will be Elohim. As Jehovah Raah, which means the God who sees, that He sees me, and He always has seen me even before I was born. And so that means He's going to see me forever. And all of these ways that we have learned about Him, He's never going to change. And it's never, and He can actually do it because He is not human, because He is God, because He is Spirit, because He is above and beyond anything that we could ever know or imagine. So as His created, it's hard for us to wrap our minds around that sometime, but that's where trust and faith come in, so that we can just say before our God, God, I know that I can't see the outcome of this, and I don't understand it, but Lord, I trust You. And I know that You will, because You see everything, and You are all powerful. And so Your ways are higher than our ways, and so we trust Your ways. So as we're going through that, I just pray that we go through this series. I just pray that we all have just a revelation of who God is in a greater capacity in our lives, and in the way that we think, in the way that we live, in the way that we talk, and even that it would just give us a greater boldness to proclaim His greatness to the world around us. So this week we are going over Jehovah Raah, and that means the Lord is my shepherd. And obviously I'm going to be talking a little bit about Psalm 23, which is the famous, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And I think it is very good to know God as our shepherd, because it is an all-encompassing thing that really allows us to step into who God is and really understand Him. Because when He is our shepherd, then He literally is our everything. And so, like I said, it is an all-encompassing thing. A shepherd is an extremely responsible person that takes care of their sheep in every single way. And the sheep are some of the dumbest animals on the planet. They need care, they need to be fed, they need to be told what to do, and all that stuff. And so a shepherd is extremely responsible in his care for the sheep, in feeding them, in shearing them, and when they're sick or injured, bringing healing to them. He always has a watchful eye over them, because he cares for a sheep, because that shepherd, it's his livelihood. And so if he loses a sheep, or a sheep gets lost, or a sheep dies, then he's losing money. And then he absolutely sees value in every single sheep. And so Jesus sees value in us, and not because we're his livelihood, but because he has created us, and he loves us, and he wants to have a nearness to us. And so we hear about the parable that Jesus told about with the 99 or the 100 sheep, and one leaves and gets lost, and Jesus leaves the 99 to find that one. And so we understand the heart of the shepherd. We understand the heart of our Jehovah Raah, that he loves us that much. And we just had an example of that a few Sundays ago, where there was a person that just needed to feel the Father's touch. And the Lord allowed us to be able to just touch, or allow the Lord to just move and touch that person so that they could have an encounter with Jesus. And it was a very precious, precious time and a precious moment. And so if you're ever feeling like you're lost and alone, you just need to know how much the Lord loves you, that he is willing to take time out to always just speak to you, to encourage you, to show you, to nurture you, to bring healing into your heart. And so he is there for you, and he defends us as well. And so without our shepherd, who's Jesus, we lose our armor. Because if you think about the armor, the helmet of salvation, the sword of the Spirit, the shield of faith, the breastplate of righteousness, and all the way down, all of those things have to do with our relationship with him and what he has done for us or what he has given to us. And so without our shepherd, we are defenseless. We lose our armor, we lose our wisdom. And like sheep, because sheep in effect, their bite, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't hurt. And they don't have like a stink like a skunk. They don't have quills like a porcupine. They don't have claws or anything like that, like a lion. They're pretty much defenseless and cannot defend themselves. And so for us, it's the same way. We are defenseless because without Jesus protecting us, without Jesus' blood washing over us, and without that full armor of God that brings us into salvation and keeps us on the path that the Lord has set before us, the enemy can just destroy us. And so we are able to have that protection through our shepherd, Jehovah Raah. And then what else happens is a sheep is easily drowned when he goes into water that is above his head, because its wool takes on the water and it causes it to sink to the bottom and it can't get out. And so how many times in life do we feel like we're just overwhelmed and we're sinking and we just can't breathe and we don't know what to do? The Lord is with us. Our Jehovah Raah is there. And what he does is he picks us up out of that miry clay. He picks us up out of that situation, and he gives us the strength to be able to get out of it so that we don't drown in whatever situation that we are going to. And so he is our rescuer. And a sheep is unable to perceive danger. They're just kind of like unaware because they don't know what's going on and they can't see anything. They don't know. A lion can just come and take them out, and they're like, where did that come from? I had no idea. Jesus brings us that wisdom that we need. He brings us the revelation we need so that we can have a perception of danger, so we can know what to avoid and what to stay away from. And a sheep will literally just nibble its way right off a cliff. And so, I mean, if it's hungry and it's just got its head down and it's just taking bites and taking bites and taking bites, and all of a sudden it's falling, and it's like, what just happened? So a sheep will nibble its way off a cliff. And how many times do we get so engrossed in our own lives that all of a sudden we look up and we're like, wait, what happened here? And so the rod and the staff of our Jehovah Raah, it brings us comfort, it brings us direction, it pulls us away from the cliff. And it brings us a discipline that we need so we don't kill ourselves. And sometimes there is a need for extreme discipline in our lives to save our lives. And the example of the shepherd is that if a young lamb keeps wandering off, and this sounds terrible, but in the end you see why it's a good thing, because the shepherd will actually break the legs of the sheep. And then he'll carry the sheep around until it gets better, caring for it, nurturing it, protecting it, always with it. And the sheep would then become so attached to the shepherd at that point that it would never leave the shepherd's side. And so as the sheep keeps wandering away, you know what would happen is the sheep would die. And so the shepherd has to break the legs to save its life. God uses life's trials to draw us closer to him. When we are broken, he carries us, bringing trust and an unbreakable bond. And a good shepherd knows his sheep by name, and they recognize his voice, and they follow him. The closer we come to God, we come to understand he knows us, and we hear his voice speaking to our hearts. It's a voice that we can trust, a voice that we can follow. And Jesus said this in John 10:27. He said, "My sheep listen to my voice. I know them, and they follow me." As we allow God to lead us, he brings our souls to safe places, protecting our hearts and our minds. He leads us to nourishment for our souls, and his presence makes us calm. He brings us protection from the enemy as well. Jehovah Raah brings wisdom, protection, sustenance, and discipline for our good. And even in dark times, valleys of the shadow of death, we will fear no evil, for the Lord's direction, discipline, and care give us comfort. The Lord, he is our ever-present, ever-caring shepherd. He's our Jehovah Raah, and I love that. So thank you for joining me, and I'm excited to see you again next week. God bless you.